毎度、カイ先輩です。久しぶりじゃない。ちょっと英語で話しましょうか。もし英語で喋れるようになりたかったら、ぜひこれからのライブストリームをご覧くださいっていうか、聞いてくださいね。英語の声を、貸してあげるから、これからよろしくお願いします。Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? It's been a while.And I just wanted to make sure that everybody is thinking in English. And that's why we're here today. We're going to think in English. So set aside your Japanese mind for a second here. Put on your collective mind, our collective consciousness, English mind, and let's begin to think in a new language. And this is how you do it. So usually we kind of say I when we're thinking to ourselves, but I think it will be easier if we begin to talk like this, because if we talk like this, then we sound like this. And as we, as language learners, begin to mimic other people, we get better at doing this. So we are learning.That includes me, but we together are learning, and we're learning in real time, and we're learning together. So this is going to work, right? Even, I have been learning for many years now, and I keep learning, and I'm learning new things such as, I injured myself. I got hit by a car, and I found that if I press right here, it kind of alleviates the pain. And I didn't know that for like a year, right? And you would think like, oh, well, didn't you Google it? Didn't you look online? Didn't you talk to a doctor? And yes, and yes. Still, in a weird twist of destiny, I find that the easy hack, the easy solution is actually there. Things are easier than they seem, and we are going to do the things that we need to do to get better sooner, and that is simply by mimicking what works. And what works is whatever we're spitting out right now. So we are going to be talking in California English because we don't really need to think too hard about it, do we? I mean, we can explain why California English is such a powerful accent, but that's just what we're going to do in the meantime, unless somebody has a question that kind of like gets me to explain something, right? But one of the things we are doing is that we are delaying the inevitable, I guess, because we are waiting, I guess, for a lack of a better word, that things are happening, and I'm doing a lot of things kind of behind the scenes. And so what I wanted to do, this is me talking right now, is not what we're doing right now. So what we're doing is just killing time for anybody that's really paying attention to what we're going to be doing, because in the future, we're going to be doing a lot of different things, but we're going to be focusing exclusively on you basically learning in real time as I just kind of ramble, right? Because we learning together, right? And, but seriously, the more that I think about like what you need to do, it's to have a conversation with somebody in real time, right? And just like the other day, I had a conversation with somebody. Man, I kind of want to talk about it, but like, I want to wait. I'm going to wait. Everything is all about waiting. The things that I want to do, right? We're not going to do right now. This is simply a checkup, I guess. That we're just touching base. We're just kind of making sure that nobody's forgot anything. And that's totally cool. This is all me talking right now, but I want to make this better for you guys. I want to make this experience really kind of matter for you in a way that really, how do you say, where you actually learn something. So the best thing that I can do is to like literally come on here and say hi. That's it. That's all I'm doing. All the exciting stuff that I want to do is going to be in the future. So basically, for the moment, I'm just giving you something to chew on, as we say. And one of the things of the many things that I want you to chew on, it's just basically don't get too caught up in the visual experience of what's happening and really focus on the audio experience of what's happening. And this is the only thing that you really need to know, that if you really wanted to get better, right, you just really have to focus on real people actually spinning their gears in real time so that you understand what it's like to actually use the sounds that are contained within our brains, right? So we, as English speakers, right, we have many different accents, right? And so when I look at all the other teachers out there, the only question really is, well, teacher, have you learned a second language yourself? And that will reveal a lot, because we as second language learners need to focus on mimicking real people. And those real people need to actually behave like real fucking people, not like robots or AI like scripts. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, guys, we need to connect, and we need to connect with not visual things. We need to connect with sound. And this is the importance of acknowledging ignorance, because when you're ignorant of how to do something, you're not going to get better. And I've experienced this in like maybe 3 different ways. Like 2 of them I'm hyper focused on, but the ignorance part is really what's stopping you guys. You know, it's not like you have a lack of tools. My gosh, and I can only give you so many tools, but that's why I've given you one, and that's the only one you really need. And that one tool is this like bridge between the visual and the audio. I will go into that later, because I have to get the cards all. When you're creating something that everybody can download and it's this side, and actually use, right? You have to create the best version that you possibly can that can be downloaded by as many people as possible, right? Anyway, we're in the final stages of that. If anybody was really keeping score, the dictionary will be available. It is available now, but we're making it more available. So, hey, it is Shinji. How are you doing? I'm doing fine, as they say, because there are many things going on in the future that are great, and there are many things in the past that are not great, and I'm kind of in the middle of that. So yeah, I would say I'm fine. How you doing, Shinji? What's going on? If I remember right, we were getting really political last time in those comments, but the story, if you have been keeping, see, these are all the things that I do want to talk about. Like, I do want to talk about like what's happening in the world, but at the same time, if I start really explaining kind of what I understand, especially, from an American perspective, for lack of better perspective, right? It's kind of the one I was born into. We can begin to share these perspectives and, kind of try to agree where we are. More and more people, I hope, would agree what's happening and what we need to do as a collective. But, we can only do that with actual conversations with, real people. And, what else are we going to do, right? So together we can have these conversations now so that when we go into reality, we always remember what the goal is, right? Anyway, Shinji, I mean, if I do remember, right, you are in America, so you definitely have more opportunities to be speaking with Americans about topics and stuff, right? So that's going to be the majority of everything that you need to know. And then basically anything that you want to practice, anything that you want to, rehearse, right? That's where you would do a lesson or talk to an expert or something like that. So you're better prepared to have these conversations with people in reality, right? So you look like David Letterman or Jim Carrey. That's okay. I'll take it. I would consider this to be wisdom mode or man on the mountain mode, meditation mode, for lack of a better word. And I have been meditating a lot recently for mainly two reasons. I think there's three, but basically, yeah, getting hit by the car 4 years ago. That's a long story, but gotta get better, which I am getting better. See, if I press right here. Didn't know that. You don't know until you, I guess, experiment, right? Doing great. Thanks, says Shinji. Great. So that is good to hear. Actually, that's really good to hear. Once, if you're doing great, then it's how do you pay that forward and how do you share that with more people? I think that's really the only game in town, right? Is alleviate suffering and then do great, right? What else is there to do in this universe? So, if you're suffering, then you want to heal that. But if you're not suffering, well, then you want to be great. So, there's only, so oh my God, says Shinji. So in the meantime, I personally have been dealing with the suffering part because of the back pain and whatever. But because I've been diligent and focusing on the pain, it's led me to do more consulting with experts, right? I've talked to the chiropractor, I've talked to a massage person, and I've been using AI to kind of round out the research, if you know what I mean, because it might tell you something that's true or not true. You don't know till you double check it, right? But anyway, this pain thing, who wants to experience? Nobody, right? Literally, who wants this? Nobody. And I would recommend anybody, if you're living in pain, find a solution. And I will share this. I did go to a chiropractor in Kamakura. No, 違うか。どこだっけ? Zushi. I went to a chiropractor in Zushi, and the guy, he was a Beatles fan, by the way. I spoke English, by the way. I told him I speak Japanese, and so we communicated in English and Japanese, but he had a picture on the wall, and it said self-healing. なんだっけな、漢字が覚えてないんだけど、あれ、どういう意味ですかって、俺、気になってね、そのね、っていうか漢字ね。で、self-healing っていう説明してくれて、that is the kind of the goal, is that you by yourself heal yourself. So I kind of put that into my head, because this was, after all, an expert in healing, right? And he said you can heal yourself. And again, this is a Japanese man who's teaching me this, right? So I would assume there is some momentum to that story and some tradition to that story and maybe some wisdom in that story with all the years of meditation and whatnot. So I haven't seen you. Why? 久しぶりですね。Okita-san. Yeah, I took last week off because there's so many different things that I'm doing. mostly healing, like seriously. But anyway, the concept of self-healing, I am taking into self-teaching because eventually you guys have to teach yourselves. And how do you do it? Well, every single time that I say something that you don't understand, you just raise your hand and ask me a question, and I'll explain what I said. It's that simple. I remember, okay, I'll share this story. 舞鶴に留学した時ね、留学って、結構前した、高校の時ね、同級生一緒に日本行った留学生、アメリカ人なんですけれども、彼と久しぶり、会いました。アメリカで。そう、彼は、立命館高校に留学して、俺、東舞鶴高等学校に留学して、結局、なんだろうね。俺の方、ペラペラって感じですね。彼、いろんな留学生と一緒に留学してたから、毎日英語を使ってたらしいよ、彼の場合。俺、舞鶴に留学した時、もう毎日日本語しか使ってなくて、って感じね。だから久しぶり彼と会って、彼の日本語そんなに上手じゃないんじゃないですかって、一緒にラーメン食いに行って、オレンジっていう街ね。で、なんか、美味しいみたいなね、ほんとそれぐらいしか、お母さんにもう関西弁ばっかりってね、でも本当に、ほんまに喋れないって感じね、彼は。で、それちょっとショック。もう、ありえないぐらいショックって感じですね。俺だって留学して、なんだ、俺の人生が変わったっていうか、日本語を喋れるようになりたいし、日本住みたいなと思ったの。大人になって、仕事として日本に住んで、日本の社会に、なんだろうね、住んでみたかったね。大学卒業してから。でも彼は、大学しかもね、偶然なんですけれども、同じ大学行ったらしいよ。サンフランシスコ立、州立みたいなね。だから、偶然だけど、同じ大学行ったんだけど、合わなかったの、結局。で、だから、似てる経験だよね。彼は北カリフォルニアから来まして、俺南カリフォルニアから来まして、やっぱり彼の育ちの人生の道が俺と違うよねと思って。だって同じ日本の留学経験もあったし、同じ大学、サンフランシスコ大学の教育もされたし、なんだろうね、俺卒業してからすぐ日本に来ました。戻りました。彼は山の方になんだろうね、逃げたっていうか、その自然の、人生をね、なんだろうね、エスケープって言いたくないんだけど、彼は山の方で山登りと、チャリンコ、マウンテンバイキング、あとリバーラフティングみたいな、人生やってたっていうかね、そういう人生、なんていう、そういうライフスタイルやってたね。Anyway. Yeah. Sorry, I wanted to make a really quick story just so everybody knew. そうね、俺だって留学してなんだろうね、喋れるようになったよね。今でもね、高校生じゃないね。でも彼はもう忘れたって感じですね。使わないとね、本当に錆びるから気をつけてください。みんなね、英語の勉強して。だから俺、100% 英語で喋ってるって感じですね。でもなんか久しぶりに会ったから、ね、ちょっとみんなにシェアしたかったよね。はい。Kai senpai, hey Stella, what's up? How you doing? Welcome to the transition show here, because basically I just wanted to say hi to everybody, keep in touch, touch base. Next week hopefully is going to be much more exciting for everybody, because I do believe that I will be creating more content. Yay. In the meantime, I have not been creating content because what happens is every time I create content, more and more people download my dictionary. And at the moment, I'm getting the dictionary kind of fixed. So I'm trying not to do too much in the meantime. And I'm trying to heal my shoulder, as I've said. So that leads us to this kind of like group session that we're doing here that's kind of like neither this nor that. We're just kind of, I don't want to say wasting time, but we're just kind of like maintaining a certain momentum before the storm, as they say. Yeah, nice to have you come. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm really excited that you come next week and the next week after that, because I do want this to be some sort of touching point in your week, because where else are you going to get like the real deal? Kind of like, who else is going to talk to you with this kind of level of honesty and purity in the sense of California authenticity? You know what I mean? So I want to give you guys the best quality audio that you can possibly be listening to, but at the same time, I've noticed that the visual part is kind of important too. Now, the visual part is really important in the sense that, like, when you talk to somebody face to face, you got to be reading their face and their facial muscles and stuff like that, instead of like looking at language, which is what most language lessons do, right? Oh, I can hear the raspiness in my voice. Hold on. So my goal is to give you the most realistic experience that you can possibly get if you were talking to somebody in reality, even though this is totally not reality. Nobody's going to be sitting here with 3 lights on them with a green screen and a microphone in their face, right? But here we are online. So I want to give you the best audio visual experience you can possibly have outside of reality. So next week, I hope you come back, check in, get some real deal kind of English. And then if you have any questions from the experiences that you've been having in reality, here is a good place to ask about them. You know what I mean? Like Shinji, as I was explaining, lives in America. So he has a week to like gather experiences and conversations and possible agreements and possible disagreements and things that I should have said and things that I could have said. And here would be a nice place to kind of like review all of the experiences you're having. And man, maybe there's a better way I could have said it. Or, hey, I never understand it when I talk to this guy. What's going on? Whatever questions you have, just let me know. And we'll try to iron it out. You know what I mean? So, hello. Yeah. So, hello. And then, okay, it's so sad that your friend can't speak Japanese more, even though he used to. Yeah. Right? And so I was disappointed isn't the right word, because after all, he chose it, right? And everybody's free to make their own decisions, but in a kind of like real way. I get it though, you know, because when I first came back to California, I didn't want to forget Japanese either, but I got lucky, I guess, because at my community college, I ran into maybe 10 Japanese people that were studying photography. Therefore, I was able to combine my hobby of photography with my knowledge in Japanese and befriend a few people. So I was using it from the get-go. And then when I went to college in San Francisco, I made even more friends. So I guess I never lost it. However, I guess my friend did not have Japanese friends in college or something like that. Maybe he knew a few, I don't know. But like, he basically wasn't using it. So that's it. You guys got to use it or else you lose it. よく言われるね。Use it or lose it, right? で、想像って OK? まあまあ、no, I wouldn't. So, it depends on the context. If you're saying, how are you? まあまあってそうそう。I mean, that's just so textbook. You know what I mean? So, it really depends on the question, right? Like in what context are you talking? But so I would not really use that. Do you think conventional pronunciation symbol is not good enough? Yeah, no, I don't, honestly, because it's like you have to learn it basically, when I learned katakana, I was like, でももうひらがなあるじゃないなんでカタカナも覚えないといけないの？ダブルじゃん。ね？ 2 倍って感じですね。仕事2倍になりましたって感じですね。だから同じように考えると、英語の文字って、それでいいんじゃないの？いや、足りなくて、IPA という文字も覚えてくださいって感じ。ちょっとなんかずるくない？ So, yeah, that's kind of my feeling. You know what I mean? Is that basically, why would you want to learn a whole new group of letters when you have, color? And then with color, a kindergarten, a preschool kid can understand it, And that's universal. You know what I mean? Like symbols, if you think about it, let's think about it because I really thought about this. The first language were basically like hieroglyphic kind of like symbols, right? And basically those symbols represented sounds. Nobody had thought of that for thousands of years. All right. So this is a big invention. Now, with the tools that they had, which was basically clay and stick, they created a few symbols, right? But with this tool right here, this technology, we're able to create symbols that are way more complex than just typical chiseling, you know what I mean? Or writing with a ink and papyrus, you know what I mean? So with this technology, we can do things that the ancient Egyptians and the Mesopotamians and the ancient Chinese weren't able to do, right? We're able to encode more information into the exact same character, right? Like, where is it? Oh, my finger ran out. But if you look at the A and you look at the I, oh shit. Gosh, I'm pointing at things you guys aren't even looking at. Sorry, guys. So if you look over there, you see, here, I'm going to fix that. Hold on. See me and this tool, right? This, me and this tool. Sounds funny. But yeah, no, basically that's what this is, right? This is some tool. And with this tool, I am able to clearly explain. There you go. You see how that A, see how that A, right, is the same color as that I? You see that, right? Well, do you hear it though, right? So acknowledge ignorance. Acknowledge, acknowledge ignorance. So yeah, the color just makes more sense because you don't need to type it twice. You know what I mean? It's encoded right there. So you can see what you can hear. Acknowledge ignorance. Acknowledge. And then you see the C, it's like this yellow because it's making a G sound. So that's a warning that the C is like not typical, but I can get into all of that if you just download the dictionary, but we'll talk about that next week, right? So anyway, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you guys want to learn more, you can see the link over there and download the dictionary, Aura, and then you can play with it. You can see what you can hear, So, yeah. So, but if you can't pronounce each color correctly, it doesn't mean anything. Do you copy? It does not mean anything. But if you cannot pronounce each color, well, so, I mean, you can say it wrong And then we have to guess what you're trying to say, or you can say it right.うんこパン食べるかって感じですね。で、ごめん、俺、の発音できなくて、あんこパン言えなくて、うんこパンって言ってしまって、君はうんこしか聞こえないんじゃない？発音間違えると。ミスっていうことですよね。できなくてもミスっていうことですね。あんこパンちゃんと言えるんけど、外国人の名前って、例えば銀座、ね、渋谷。通じると思うんだけどね。銀座とかさ。でも、逆に英語で考えちゃうと、発音間違えると、単語が変わっちゃうって感じですね。それで、聞きづらいよね。だから、言えなくても、そのネイティブスピーカーにはパズルになっちゃうって感じですね。って感じ。だって、オーストラリア英語聞いてもね、ってなっちゃうんですよ。クイーンズ・イングリッシュ聞くと全然問題ない。全然って言えないんだけど、でもスコットランドの訛りとか、ってなっちゃうんですよ。で、それ正しい発音してるのに、正しいって、だってスコティッシュ・イングリッシュって正しい英語やからさ。でも、慣れてないだけですね。実は、カタカナ英語聞いても俺わかるよ。慣れてるから。舞鶴に住んでたからな。で、それ友達も言ってたよね。舞鶴っていうか日本に留学した時のみんなの英語のちょっと笑える。彼が笑ってったよね。すごいよねと言ってたよね。先生なのに、みたいな日本人の先生がちゃんと発音できなくて、すごいよねみたいな二人で話してたよね。だから、well, it's like I said, missing pronunciation isn't like bad. It's just not the word. One equals one. One does not equal two. So visually speaking, you can see it. If you misspell a word, you get in trouble, right? Like if you spell the word wrong, like I before E after C, whatever, you get in trouble. Like if you spell something wrong on an email at work, people look at you funny. Like, don't you even have spell check, right? So I think the same thing applies towards pronunciation. You just have to do the work, and basically the work should have been done in preschool, in kindergarten, and elementary school. But the way that the Japanese education system teaches, because they teach you visual symbols first, you didn't do the fundamental muscle work, like the vocal cords in the mouth, like literally have to get used to and right? So because you just keep skipping this vital lesson, you never heal. You know what I mean? You never actually adapt because you never just did some muscle exercises and, like practice here, you know what I mean? Like simple stuff. And that's why I have the app, because I have every single sound in California English clearly, on video with the color, so that when you see like the orange, right? So it's a not e, but right? Like you literally learn each sound one by one, so you can distinguish them and never get confused again. So even if you're hearing the sounds, right, you're like, oh, I can hear it now. You also have in the lessons like that chance to actually say the sound, and not by just saying it, by mimicking though. Like this is the whole point, is that you learn a second language by mimicking shuryo. Monomane shikaいらないよね。違うか。見てる教科書とかフラッシュカードはね、あれはただのツールだよね。基本の経験はこちらの音 音の経験ですね。音波の経験ですね。耳に入っている音波と、口から出ている音波と、音波の話なんですけれども、その音波の、これ日本語わかんないから、コントロール。申し訳ないね。でも、コントロールって、日本語で何て言うかなって今忘れちゃって、でも本当にコントロールの話ですね。だって、コントロールって言っちゃったらみんなわかんないから、コントロールって言いましたよね、俺。もう、なんていう、思いやりだって、コントロールって通じない人多いから。違うか。あずきさんあずきだね。あずきだね。ちょっと遠いからさ。I like the emoji, but hey. Wait, what have we met? Shinya? That sounds kind of familiar. Main job is YouTuber. Yeah. English is very difficult. I know, but that's why we got to practice. But everyday study. Well, yeah. And so, for Azuki-san or Shinya, studying, I know it makes it sound like you're like looking at a book or something. So every day just speak so maybe we should change that, right? だって study English, speak English ね、モノマネしないと勉強になんないから、mimic English, alright? Every day we gotta mimic English, alright? So every day we gotta mimic. Every day I gotta, 自分のあれにして、自分のマントラね、I gotta mimic English. I gotta しなきゃね、I gotta ってね。で、T イコール D だね。書いとこうかって、今日、I gotta mimic English, all right? So let's just like focus on that because seriously, if you look, you study, you like looking at books, you're gonna miss it. You gotta mimic. So I gotta mimic English. That's what you gotta say. You gotta mimic English. Stop studying, just mimic. Just mimic, like literally just mimic. So, how linking is connected words together are visualized in your mythology. Well, the visualization part, I can do it, right? I can do it. I can show you. It's just that, like, even if you do it, it's like, how do you say? You only have to do it once, basically. So, whoops. Yeah, sorry, my computer's kind of far away. So, like with the system, right? So here, let's just move this out of the way for you. Is this going on? No, sorry. I'm doing all this like off camera. Okay, somebody's got to tell me I'm not on camera. Okay, so here's the keynote. So what are you, right? This becomes, with my system, this is that, right? This is getting on camera, right? Okay, cool. So go back to it. So basically, let's just start with like the vowels, right? So wa. Now this one becomes E. And then this one becomes ya, right? So I'm just going to go straight into what we're actually saying because it's different than what the textbooks teach you, right? So wadiya. So like all of this just, and then this one here is the ya with the Y, right? So there you go. So that is basically what it sounds like, wadiya. But if you just did the letters as the dictionary teaches you, it's going to teach you this. Oh my gosh. This is why I have the app, guys, because it's pre-made. I mean, it's like automated, like it looks it up. So the dictionary will teach you this. Okay. So there you go. I think you can see that. the differences are clear to me. But so we have wadia, the T, gray T. Here, I'll even make this bigger. Like, why would I, like, why? Oh, here we go. Hold on. Like, if we're going to do a lesson, right? Then I can just kind of like get out of the way because like you guys don't need to see me, right? Anyway, that's good enough. So basically, yeah. So wadia, and what are you? What are you is the bottom one, right? What are you, right? But we say wadia. 全然違うよね。まあ見た目でわかるじゃない？ But if you really listen, right? Wadia, what are you? Wadia, what are you? で、教科書的な英語は What are you? で、英会話学行くと What are you doing? What are you listening to? みたいな英語しか聞かないじゃない？でも結局、ほんまにね、現実ではみんな Wadia って言ってんの。必ず、毎回、100% ね。みんななまっとるっていうことですよね。で、そのなまりを真似しないと人間に聞こえないっていうことですね。I don't know how else to say it, So like, they don't teach you what are you gonna do and what you gotta do, right? And there's a lot of them. 例文だけだけど、いっぱいあるんだよね。括弧形って What'd you think, right? So, what'd you study in high school? What'd you, right? So,いっぱいあるよね。こういう省略っていうか、リンキングね。そう、what are you? だから、まあ、本当にね、学校で習った What are you listening to? みたいな英語は、まあ、学校で学ぶ英語ですね。僕も学校で学んだよね。そういう喋り方。で、もちろん、ニュースとか、なんだろうね。そういう、教育動画とかさ、こういう喋り方しますね。What are you thinking about? In today's society, we are speaking slowly when we create these kind of videos. But this is the whole point of the live stream, right? Is that nobody talks like that. And what we do talk like is something more like what I'm doing right now. But what I'm trying to do is keep it as subconscious as possible, because when you start getting conscious of being a teacher, you start like slowing everything down, and then you can start to explain everything in ways that are like, hey, does everybody understand what I'm saying? Let me just like slow down. And I hate it when teachers slow down, because that's not how anybody talks. Like a real person like me talks like this, and if you just listen, you would actually understand what I'm saying and you wouldn't have any problems with this. But I don't want to have to keep mumbling this, because this is literally how people talk, and you got to get used to it, yeah. And then also, what do you and what do you 同じようにね、聞こえる。同じように省略になるよね。So, I could do it, right? So, oh wait, because this one is do, right? Hold on, make sure that it's on camera. There you go. So it's on camera there. You see that there, right? And so what do you, right? But in the same way, we go like this and we go like this. So you can see with the color that it's basically the same thing. Do you see how these two different and you, just to make this clear, you don't hear the T, right? Wadia. So you can literally see that the what are you doing イコール what are you doing? Or what do you do イコール what do you do? Wadia. These are the same E sound, right? だってこの青って感じですね。イコール E っていう発音ですね。この色、こっちね、イコールあね。だからすべて色につけて、音、文字に色つけてるよね。はい。それでどういう音を区別できるようになりますね。はい。So, in terms of pretty, what do you wait? Yeah, so I answered that. That's a pretty clear explanation, I think. I mean, it looks complicated at first, right? Because it's like, what the hell is going on, right? What do you mean? What do you, right? But yeah, no, this is what I'm talking about. This is like literally the, real, casual, everyday, subconscious way of speaking that everybody does, including you if you just mimic. Not what you see, but what you hear, right? What you hear, what you talking about, guys? Okay. So, do you think Americans evolving English through movie? Oh, yeah. I mean, do you think? Yeah. Of course, including me. Like, it's like literally, culture definitely is mixing in all the different ways, and there's plenty of different ways, right? When I say there's like California English, there's probably 10 different California Englishes too. So let's not get too buried deep into all the different ways of speaking, but you are free to mimic whoever you want. Just be careful of certain words for certain people. For example, キリスト教の人と会話すると、なんだろうね、悪い単語を使わない方がいいんじゃない？ fuck とか shit とかさ。なんかそういう空気を読んでくださいって感じですね。で、まあ、なんだろうね。人によってなんだろうね。すべて変わるからね。でもどういうふうに変わるかって分かんないよね。人によって。だってトランプのサポーターと会話になると、まあ会話にならないようにしてるんですけれどもね、俺は。話すあれがないからね。あれに関してね。なんだろうねって感じですね。でも本当に準備しないとね、英語adapt って言いたいよね。本当に人によってちょっと喋り方が変わっちゃう。まあ日本語でもそうじゃない？なんか上の人と下の人って感じ？でもアメリカってなんだろうね。気を使って話す、もちろんね。でもいつ気を使うかって感じですね。まあそれはなんだろうね。経験しないとわかんないもんね。でもこうやってみんなこういう風に喋ってるよって、いや、まあみんなってみんなだよ。でもそれ経験しないとわかんないな。だからこういう、日常的な喋り方、メディアには、特に日本のメディアには少ない。だから、I gotta make this live stream and I gotta make all these videos because I'm like the only one that's really teaching you guys. Well, there's other people that kind of do it, but then most of the other YouTubers, if you really think about it, speak a lot of Japanese, don't they? And so if they're speaking Japanese all the time, how are you gonna learn English? Like, have you ever thought about that? Like, all of the other YouTubers, like, really are good at Japanese, and better than mine. Like, hey, no shit, Sherlock, right? But like, seriously, how many of them are actually speaking English to you, and how many of them are actually speaking actual English to you? Well, I don't want to like really expose everybody in one breath, but I just did. So, yeah. Like, for example, NWA was like one of the biggest influences, I think, on me as a kid. That was like of like a whole kind of like culture that I was not aware of, even though it was down the freeway from where I lived, basically. So yeah, like the music is definitely a part of like all of this, right? And we hear, like, for example, Bad Bunny, for example. So there's a lot of like just different flavors of English, right? And all of them are good, all of them are valid, and you can basically speak any of them if you just mimic them. So you need like a real person to actually mimic, and that's it. Like, you can get theoretical all you want, but unless you have like, because I noticed my buddy, for example, Kento, he had kind of like a, I don't want to say like a black accent, right? As we say in English, right? But he did kind of have that kind of influence because he was listening to that kind of music, and he was actually hanging out with those kind of people as well, those street artist kind of people that he was really into in the hip hop kind of vibe. And it wasn't just like a black thing, as a lot of people kind of misinterpret it, because there are other people that speak with that kind of accent as well, and they'll say, well, no, that's just the neighborhood I was raised in. So there's a lot of complexity to it, but if you are listening to hip hop and stuff like that, you will definitely get that kind of influence into the way you speak. Know what I'm saying? So it's totally legit as long as you're kind of living it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're actually out there with people who are like talking like that and they have that kind of like twang in their voice, then go ahead and mimic it, right? Because it's like literally the kind of influence that you're literally getting. And so when you talk like that to other people, they'll be like, man, you kind of have like an accent. And you're like, yeah, I hang out with these people that do this kind of music or whatever. And it kind of makes more sense if you have like a good story to back it up. But if you're just like picking random things off the internet to mimic, well, you could pick anything, but then it's like, how'd you get that accent? And you're like, oh, YouTube, which is kind of cool, maybe, I guess. I mean, I do remember talking to the European guys in Shimokitazawa, and the guy was like, oh no, gaming and YouTube, that's why we speak English with an American accent and blah blah blah. So it's like, okay, well, you guys could use the internet to get more access to like real English if you actually searched for it. But the thing is, I think that most Japanese students are not aware of anything in relation to what I just talked about. They like the whole accent thing is just like, what? I want to learn English. It's like, no. You want to learn to talk like other people. That's what you want to do. You want to learn to mimic other people. That's what you want to do. So you need another person to mimic in order to learn English. There's no other way around it. You can't replace a human with a book. You can't replace a human with an app. You can't replace face-to-face interaction with real humans. You're just not going to learn until you actually have a conversation with a person face-to-face. So look, the ignorance part is crucial because you didn't know, and that's okay. But the way to actually get better, there's only one, and that's mimic real people in reality. That means anything online is not as authentic as reality, right? That makes sense. But when you study English, you're like, oh, I need a lesson, I need a video, I need a school, I need a teacher. And that's totally not true. You need real people who are actually talking like this. So basically, everybody's got their head on wrong. And once you acknowledge the ignorance, right, and then you can begin to consciously change the way you think and the way you speak and the way you listen by actually focusing on what matters. And what matters isn't the spelling, right? Because you can play this game all day with spelling and it doesn't matter unless you have like an accent when you speak. You're not going to sound like you have ever talked to somebody in reality. So the only solution, the only path forward is basically having a conversation with somebody in reality. That's it. It's the only game you need to figure out. So if you don't know how to have a conversation with somebody in reality, well, then that's what you got to figure out. It's not an English question. It's not a linguistics question. It's not a pronunciation question. It's a, how do I go outside and talk to people question, which is not a language issue because you can go outside to cafes and stuff and talk to people without ever really speaking English. You know, you can smile to people and listen to people. Like, there's so many things you can do, but like all of it requires reality and like going into it without a camera, without the internet. Like, seriously, guys, why are you on the internet? Oh, that's right. It's so cool. But like, what are you going to learn from the internet? Because everything on the internet is basically a reflection of reality in one way or the other, or people escaping reality. So, you know, what do you want to invest in? And for me, as much as I enjoy fiction, like, I would prefer to focus on, you know, improving reality. So how are you going to do it? Well, the benefits of improving your accent, I can't begin to describe the new opportunities available to you if you just worked on your accent a little more, because you get more connection with people when you do it, and it becomes more believable, it becomes more authentic. I don't know how else to describe it, but there's a certain psychological thing that happens with accents. Basically, まあ外人に聞こえるよね。で、外人ってなんだっけ？まあ外の人ですね。我々じゃないということですね。だから、もし君がまあアメリカで、まあアメリカとイギリスっていうか海外でね、海外っていう考え方もうやめとこう。でもまあ世界ね、like hello, the rest of the world is doing all these things, but it's like, oh, 海外。No. Like, we're human. 違うか。で、もう隣の人間をモノマネすると、隣の人間のようにね、喋れるようになる。まあ、それだけですよね。まあ、なんで舞鶴弁できるか。もう舞鶴のいろんな人と話したことあるから、経験してるから、現実で。だから君も、もし、アメリカの訛りがなかったら、カリフォルニアの訛りなかったらね、まあ、本物の人間と会話してないんじゃない？それとも、その、本物の人間、モノマネしてないんじゃない？だから、なまっとるじゃん。なんだろうね、このキーね。キーは文字じゃなくて音だから。言語、音で作られてるからさ。まあ。So, shadowing and speaking loud every day are helping to improve. Yeah, there you go. So, when you speak, you don't want to mumble like I'm doing right now, but like, I don't want to be yelling at the same time, because when you have a microphone and earphones, you can hear a lot better, I find. And so there is a joy in being able to listen with earphones and microphones. And, you know, as somebody that enjoys music, I do enjoy listening. So I do see it as my responsibility to somehow give you guys an audio experience that your ears can literally soak up, right? Literally, figuratively. But yes, in this case, because we're using the internet, you're going to need earphones or good speakers, right? To really get that audio experience. And so, Shinji, yeah, if you speak loud, that forces you to hear your voice. And then if you're going to make a mistake, well, then you're going to make that mistake really loud. So you have to be either confident enough to say it or confident enough to fix it. And that's doable. It's kind of like yoga, right? Where in the beginning of yoga, it's painful, these new stretches, these new poses. And the first month, you feel pain. But after a second month or a third month, you get into this kind of flow state, right? We're like, oh, wow, I feel the benefits of all these new poses. And like my breathing is better, my balance is better. All these things, like little benefits, start to pile up after doing the fundamental stretches, right? So in the same way, pronunciation is like this yoga for your mouth, that there's certain poses that you just got to work on. That's it. You don't have to work on all of them. You just got to work on a few of them. And it's usually the sounds that are not in Japanese. So like, what are they? There's only like 5, you know? And so if you really just focus on those 5 poses by yourself in your house, kind of like pain points, right? Then you're going to get better. You just have to do it by yourself, and you have to do it a lot. And then when you go out into public, then you really want to get into that kind of like, okay, I practiced this, apple sound, so like I can really master you know what I mean? It's like there's only one way, and it's forward, and you can do it. You just got to do it. So yeah. Some says Japanese English education focuses too much on input, which is reading and writing, but if you focus on output, speaking in the early days. Yeah, in the early days, like preschool, it's all sound, you know what I mean? What's this? What's that? Touch this, when the kid touches something, like what is it? It's water, right? And like, it's very tangible, but it is sound. And that basic conversation, that basic kind of like level of English experience is usually experienced in a preschool, But like I said, most Japanese people skip it. And they go straight into the advanced studies, right? Which would be letters and reading and writing and stuff like that. But no, you gotta start with sound. And that's no reading, no writing, no letters, no alphabet, no lessons. Just like grab something, like, what's this? This one's always interesting, but this is a buffalo nickel. Can you see that? It's a nickel, but we call it a buffalo nickel, right? You see that? So it's a buffalo nickel. Oh, wow, it zooms in. You see how that zooms in? But anyway, that's a buffalo nickel. And so now you know what it is. It's a buffalo nickel. Because I just told you, and you, buffalo, right? Like nickel. Anyway, reading and listening, I mean, yeah, input is good, but like eventually that mimic part, and the mimic part is super key, because like even when we're kids, everybody wanted to be like Michael Jordan, and so a lot of the kids started to mimic Michael Jordan, and a few kids would even stick out their tongue when they would shoot, and so it was all part of the mimicking, though, because you wanted to play like Michael Jordan, you wanted to shoot like Michael Jordan, you wanted to dunk like Michael Jordan. So all of these kids were mimicking what they saw and hoping that they would play better by wearing the shoes and walking like him. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, mimicking. Everything is about mimicking. And if you think about what the Beatles did in the 60s and how many bands tried to mimic the Beatles, but the Beatles were just trying to mimic Motown, like all of this mimicking going on, you kind of forget the whole game, right? That everybody's just mimicking what their parents and their culture taught them, and that's it. But, Shinji, you have the ability, if you're in America, to mimic anybody but a Japanese person. You can be an American in America just by acting like it. People will believe you, like they'll accept you. Like, I swear, the younger generation, especially in California, they kind of just talk with a California accent despite their parents' upbringing or whatever. But this is just the whole point of change and evolution and getting better and improvement, is that whatever we were doing yesterday just doesn't matter, because we're doing something new right now, and we're going to be doing something new in the future, as long as you know what to do. And that is to go into reality and to mimic people. Yeah. the shy part, but the shy part is just because the teachers didn't teach you. So, just got to learn how to say hi, and to I think like the small talk, for example, is part of like American culture, but you learn how to say hi, like great weather today, huh? Like you learn how to connect with people, and it's not necessarily a language skill, but more a psychology kind of thing or a cultural kind of thing. But yeah, the Japanese people do it too, but it's like, for example, I remember I was talking to an American in Kyoto, and the American had a son, and the son was about 10 years old. And I was like making a video, and I was like, "Hey kid, you wanna speak to Japanese people?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Watch this. You can talk to Japanese people without even saying a word." He's like, "What?" And so we're on the busy street, and so I just started bowing to people as they walk by, and they would bow back. Right? It's just like automated response, because that's what you do. And so I had the kid do it. I'm like, just bow to people when they walk by. And so he would bow, and people would bow back. So in Japanese culture, you guys have a different way of doing it, but it's the same, because in America we don't bow. But if you say, "Hey man," so they will say, "Hey man," or "How you doing?" Or, it's just what you do. You press the button, you get a response, right? And so, yeah, you just have to learn the American ways of reaching out there and saying hi to somebody, Yeah. Sanada Hiroki, he was cool. Yeah. See? And, Sanada-san does not have 100% American English, right? Like, he definitely has, like, because think about it, guys. He's acting Japanese a lot of the time, so his characters for sure have to have some sort of like Japanese detective, kind of vibe, right? But yeah, when you're playing different characters, a lot of those characters, all of them contain an accent. So you have to be able to learn how to mimic and be yourself when you're not acting. So finding your own voice is a balance between new sounds of American English and, your own personal feeling of who you are, right? But yeah, that's kind of fascinating, because like if you look at Watanabe Ken or Sanada-san, they definitely sound Japanese, and you can tell though that they've been picking up like American English because of the way they say certain words. It's like, oh, they've been listening, they've been mimicking. And that's all you got to do. The more you do it every single day, the more you're just going to learn from just more random people. And the more people you talk to, just the more, like I was talking to a guy who had an art gallery, and I was talking normally, as I normally do, but then I began to notice that he had an accent that was like from the middle of America, and then he finally mentioned that he's from Wisconsin. I was like, that makes sense, because everybody's got an accent, like literally, and the more you experience it, like the more you get out there, the more you hear it. So just the more people that you talk to, the more lessons you're going to get. It's good to have the same people as like I watch the same YouTubers over and over like you guys do. So, that's good, but you also want to have like new experience, new people, new different types of speaking. So it's always good, because like every time I hear an Australian accent, I always compare it to mine. Like, oh, that's interesting. They don't say day, they say die, right? And so you learn as you get experience from these other people, but then you get to choose what you incorporate into your own speaking style or what you, don't incorporate. You know what I mean? So it's your life. It's your voice. You just got to learn how to control it, which kind of brings us back full circle, because controlling your voice is the only thing that you're actually doing. You're learning how to control it. If you don't know how to control it, you're just going to sound like, well, whatever. You're going to speak subconsciously, unconsciously, and not realize all of the things that you're trying to say are not being communicated because of the way you're speaking is not understood by most people. And this is what most people don't understand in Japan, is that カタカナ英語聞きづらいよ。聞き取りにくいよ。正直に申し訳ありませんが、マクドナルドみたいな喋り方は通じないよね。エスカレーター通じないよ。コーヒー、ホットコーヒー通じない。だから、これからよろしくお願いしますね。音を聞いて真似して、それしかないよね。まあ、勉強しながらね、もし何か質問があればね、俺の辞書を使ってくださいね。Aura English HD 検索して、単語を検索して、フラッシュカード作って、なんだろうね、スタディループみたいなね、まあ、後でそれを、紹介するから。Do you know Trump impersonator from China? Yeah. Exactly. I've heard of him. I've seen it. A few of them. I've watched the internet. And so, yeah, it's basically mimicking. Everything is mimicking. So in your case, Shinji, I would try to find somebody in your town that you can mimic. You know, like I mimicked my host dad. And he was big influence like on what words I use and sense of humor and stuff like that. So yeah, basically you can do the same thing. Just kind of find like a senpai って感じ, but somebody in your town, somebody that you respect, so that when you talk like them, you feel confident like them, right? Somebody you respect. So if you like you have some coworker or some friend that's kind of cool, and then you start to talk like him, well, then you're cool. You get respected, you know? You have that kind of strength when you talk, or that kind of slickness when you... See, I don't know what it is, because you have to determine what you want to sound like, you know what I mean? And at this point, like for me, what do I sound like? I don't even know. Do I like it? Do I not like it? I don't know. But if you're still developing your voice, man, I would try to... You know, I try to talk in a way that I've never talked before. That's what I would try to do. But, you know, you don't have to do it like that. You know, you can do it any way you want. But I'm not going to go out of my way to rewire my brain like that, because I think the California accent is pretty powerful. Like when you travel the world, like people recognize it. They like, what's the word? Becauseまあ今アメリカの大統領とかさ、なんか結構あれじゃない？なんか嫌なやつじゃない？それでなんだろう、アメリカの評判がちょっと悪くなったんじゃない？それでアメリカ人で、まあ、旅して旅行して、まあアメリカ人か、なんかトランプ大好きのアメリカ人じゃない？いやそういう人じゃないよ。俺カリフォルニアから来ましたよね。そういうアピールは俺の訛りに入っとるで。まあ、みんなだから訛り区別できる人はその南の方の、Southern ねアクセントね、そういうなんかトランプのあれってトランプの訛りじゃなくてトランプのサポーターの訛りって、そういうイメージがしますね。で俺いやそれじゃないよ。僕のカリフォルニアの訛り聞けばわかるじゃん。So you know.It's very important. Who do you want to, if you want to sound like Trump when you talk, like talk about a way to like, well, you know, get some attention online, but I would never want to talk like that ever. Oh my God. But you're free to choose whoever you want. So I would choose the cool Tom Cruise, you know, like Brad Pitt, Like choose anybody, or better yet, somebody in your own town, somebody in your city, somebody in your school, somebody at your work. It's just somebody that you can really kind of like look up to. You know what I mean? So anyway, I think that I have been talking way too long, and I appreciate you guys coming out here, but it is time for me to go because this is a light session, a very light session. Hopefully next week we're going to have a better session, but I have been waiting for some stuff out of Pakistan. It's a long story, but my man Wahab is on it, and I am standing by. Long story. And I'll share it next week. So, guys, thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. I really do. And I hope you have a good week. I hope you get out there and talk to people. I hope you get out there and mimic people. And I hope to see you soon. Yeah, good night, Shinji. It was good to have you on. It was good to chat with you. And I do appreciate the participation. And I do appreciate the participation from other people too, like Azuki and Okita-san, Okinawa. Yeah. One day I'm going to look up that kanji. But guys, and then Stella too. Thanks for coming out, because it is all about you guys. It is about you guys learning English, and it is about you guys kind of learning this American California English. So if you spend your time learning it with me, I appreciate it. And get out there and download the dictionary, because it's kind of cool. And stay in touch, because I will be making another live stream next week, and I'll be doing more videos next week as well. So I look forward to doing that. I look forward to having you guys participate even more. So yeah, thanks for coming out. Thanks for being here. And Stella says, thank you. I'm looking forward to next live. Happy holidays. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I never think about that. But yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody and a New Year. So maybe I'll see you guys after Christmas. I hope you guys have a very good Christmas and a warm Christmas. And yeah, maybe I should do that word. You know what? As a little bonus, I am going to do that right now. I was going to make a lesson about the word Christmas, because I know a lot of Japanese people do not say it right. I know, right? But here we are. We got this on camera? Okay, cool. Just because I'll paint it really quick for you guys. But the pronunciation for Christmas is really easy once you color the letters, right? And this I and this A are the same sound, Christmas. And don't forget the T. Well, I mean, forget the T, because we don't say it. Christmas. You hear that? Christmas. Yeah, Merry Christmas, right? But that's how we say it. Christmas. I think everybody knows that, but then again, maybe they don't. But yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. And I will see you before the new year. だってお正月の方大事ですよね。holiday として。So, but here in America, y'all know that Christmas is the main day. So, Merry Christmas. I hope you get some good presents. I hope you enjoy sitting around the Christmas tree. And I hope Santa comes on Christmas Eve. And I hope everybody really enjoys it. So, yeah. And then Democrats, Tanaka mentions that, well, you don't have to be a Democrat. There's liberals, and then there's, socialists, and there's also other factions like the libertarians and stuff like that. So, but yeah, like there's many ways to kind of ideologue. How do you say to politicize this? But the accent actually is kind of important, because even like a libertarian would have an accent, wouldn't they? Like a Wyoming. Anyway, I digress. Merry Christmas to you guys. Thank you so much. And take it easy. I will be seeing you guys very soon on the next video and the next live stream. So have a good week and peace. Bye-bye.